Hello, world, and welcome back to the Brothers Blue podcast. With that being said, this is episode number 19. Today, we're going to be talking about addiction, and we'll get into that into a second. But first, I wanted to say that we are going to, for the foreseeable future, have at the beginning of our videos an open invitation to any and all members of the Forbidden Knowledge News Network. And so that's pretty much what it is. Anyone who considers themselves a part of that community, consider this an open invitation to be a guest on the podcast that my brother and I are trying to get off the ground and are trying to host every week. Again, the idea of today's conversation is addiction. And with that being said, that's Brother Kyle.
And that is Brother Cody. And again, we're just making a video about addiction, largely due to a suggestion that I made because the unfortunate situation is that I have a professional situation that limits the amount of
Discretion.
The amount of information that I can publicly disclose. So we've had private conversations with people like Dr. Autumn. And so like I'm willing to have more private conversations that are more personal with people. But the fact of the matter is I do have a professional situation that limits how much I can publicly disclose, unfortunately.
About your personal experience with this said topic.
Yeah. And so like the only thing I can really say is that like I celebrate my sobriety every year in January because that is the month I decided to get clean. And the most recent January was my 9th year of sobriety. So as much as I don't really like to talk about addiction and all that stuff, I am proud of that aspect.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, no, and it's funny because like Scott is finally clean.
Yeah, it is. Well, that goes into the family thing. You have a personal connection with it, and it's funny because that like the majority of your family is more like addicts than you are.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And so I'll just get into my little note. And so I have a weirdly close personal opinion on addiction due to family history. And so your addiction played a large part in my life, obviously. But on top of that, that's the thing is like our dad was addicted to meth for probably 15, 20 years. And that definitely had an impact on our lives. And then the other thing is like seeing other people in my life, like Scott, my brother, Uncle John, you people that I consider the closest relationships in my life, people that I love the most, get addicted to the hard stuff. And so that's actually something that I was going to talk about that I didn't really put down is like, I have dabbled in pretty much everything. And that's also something that I was going to bring up is like Cody's 15 and I think I don't even think he's been drunk yet. Like, I think he's only gotten high and I think that's the only thing he's done. By the time we were 15, I don't know how many drugs I had done. Yeah. Right, exactly.
This goes into a point I also wanted to make randomly is that on top of all that and like the unfortunate aspect of it is that like we're talking about addiction, but I also think there is such a thing as like healthy drug use, and this is also goes into the point that like I kind of hate that we have this terminology of drugs and alcohol when they're just substances. And this goes into the fact that like I drink coffee every morning.
Yeah.
And they're caffeine addicts. There and this
Sugar, I think sugar's the biggest one.
Yeah, that's a big, but it goes into the social media thing that we'll get into later.
Because even I hate to admit this, but like I intake a fair amount of sugar. That's weird, but I do.
That's a big, like it's in a sort of innocuous. Like most people don't think about the fact that sugar is in everything.
So yeah, it is.
People put sugar in like everything. Yeah.
Right. And so, anyways, back to the so I my thing is, even though I've dabbled with all those things and what I would call healthy drug experimentation, maybe kind of what you're getting at, right? Exactly.
Yes.
Um,
Recreational.
right, recreational and healthy, and just not overall detrimental to one's life, right? And so,
just part of the human experience.
So, with that being said, I have done all those things, and at this current point, I have no qualms about it. I drink like a fish and I smoke like a chimney, but at the same time, I've never been thoroughly addicted to meth, heroin, cocaine, any of those things. Like, don't get me wrong, I've had strong habits for certain ones at certain points, specifically cocaine. But anyways, I never would have considered myself like a cokehead or like a crackhead. Well, I mean, obviously not because I never smoked crack, but yeah, I did it, but that doesn't mean I was like addicted to it. And maybe I again developing a habit and being able to break it, I think is different than addiction, maybe, right? And we haven't really talked about that.
Well, and that actually goes entirely into another like side point that I kind of wanted to make is that again, it's like it makes sense that like I don't have a strong desire to make sobriety or like a bit. I don't want to make a big deal about it. There's so much other things going on in my life that I don't, even though like at the time that was like, I guess who I was, but hold on. What up? Can I continue?
Yeah, no, it's fine. I just think it brings relevancy to another point that you make, but go ahead.
Yeah, so when the point I was trying to make is exactly that, is that like when I was participating in heavy habitual use of like recreational substances, I didn't feel like it was a big part of my identity. I was doing a lot of other stuff. And that's the other thing, about getting clean. It's like, yeah, I got clean, but I don't, whatever.
So NA and AA literally make sobriety your identity.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have a note, and I'm sorry if I ruined it by bringing it up, but I wanted to go there. And that's what I was saying is like, it's the point you make is you don't like NA or AA. And like, so the reasons that I'm not a fan are that first one where, dude, it's almost like a holier than thou complex where it's like, oh, I'm sober and you smoke weed, so I'm better than you.
Yeah.
So probably more stressed than I am.
Yeah.
But that's it. And then my beef also with the NAA is its religious background, just because religion has very little to do with a lot of people's sobriety.
Yeah. And what's
sorry, I'm busy.
Unfortunate, I guess, is that a lot of people this is the point I make is some people it seems like they need it. Like, no offense, they wouldn't have the strength to be sober without the institution of NA or AA. And there are those people, and that's fine. Like, that's totally
And
fine. That's just
what
not
I think, well, and what I think is unfortunate is that they probably convince themselves of that, but the reality is it's the community that is the strength or the deciding factor. Yeah, so that's actually what. So I thought about your NAAA comment, and I was like, well, I can think of bad things about it all day long, but what are like maybe some positive things about it? I think the community building aspect of it is a legitimate effort.
Yeah, and it's just kind of unfortunate that like it is like a real and legitimate way for people to get sober, whatever the hell that means.
You're
Uh,
right.
but it has that religious twinge, and like every NA and AA person I've known smokes cigarettes like a chimney. So that, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that
weird.
makes no sense to me. It's disgusting. It's like, yeah, it's obviously habit forming. Like, yeah,
And it's like, I'm a champion of
cancer.
my addiction, but I smoke cigarettes.
Yep. And so that's my thing is like, I don't use caffeine or nicotine at all.
Fair enough. Yeah, I use caffeine, but
Yeah.
you've also said, like, I mean, we are both um, what would clinically be described as alcoholics. I am definitely not.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not. No offense. I think you drink a little bit more than me.
Yeah,
Uh,
I do too. And my whole thing is what I always say. This is what I tell like strangers about like my substance abuse is like, dude, I drink as much as I want because I'm a freedom loving adult American, but also like I'm a good dad. I'm a good worker. I do. There is nothing and no performance in my life that suffers from my alcoholism.
So, and we've talked about this. This is why I struggled so hard to get sober, because I was that rare form of addict. I was functioning. I was high. I was a high functioning addict.
I know. I was there.
You were there, so, and you would agree. Like, yeah, I
Yeah,
was.
I agree. It was weird.
Yeah, not like most people that are
All right.
recreationally using
So
hard drug or hard substances.
let's shift this a little bit because of the research that we did. So
Oh
basically,
yeah.
we did generational research. And so there's this like weird trend with Gen Z that is a trend that has like bucked everything previous to it, and that they are using drugs less than like every generation before them. And like for millennials to outpace Gen X is like crazy. So like
Or the
I'll
boomers.
get to that. Yeah, I'll get to that in a
But
second.
no, that brings up a point we didn't talk about at all. Is that like uh Gen Z? I feel like doesn't have the reasons or excuses or whatever that millennials have. And that actually goes into the research that we did.
Should we segue into the screenshot? Yeah. So
Probably.
basically, what he's talking about is
Yeah.
this. Sorry, give me
Well,
one second.
it's
You're
just
just so millennials are drawn to alcoholism specifically. So smartphones, the internet, and social media have given millennials 24/7 access to news that's both good and bad, and so that is a topic that gets brought up in any article that you look at when it comes to millennials being susceptible to substance abuse. Not just alcoholism, but substance abuse in general. And it's the social media aspect of everything.
well, I'm seeing a word you like to use, a binary in that. Sorry. 24 acts. Yeah, to media that is both good and bad. That is
Right.
literally the definition of a binary. And so that's I feel like specifically millennial problem. And what's funny is you brought it up, and I actually am now gonna capitalize on this terminology. But I feel like binary thinking has sort of been forced leveraged on millennials.
Oh, interesting. I feel like it's just overused in general. So
I'm just saying, like, you talk
yeah, you're right. I did.
about
Well,
how it's bad to like fall into binary thinking, and that's literally what that is.
no, I was gonna say also, this isn't me. This is an article saying this. So.
Yeah, just saying, the article
Right.
agrees with what you've said previously.
Well, no, yeah, and you're right. Both good and bad. That literally is binary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and this actually is something that I'm dealing with right now. So it says most millennials started or attempted to grow their careers during the latest recession. And so I actually did a pretty good job of doing that. But I'm like unemployed right now, and I'm like really discouraged with the job market. I've applied to over 30 jobs on Indeed since January. Um, yeah, it's not very fun out there,
Well, it
and so
says
that
during the latest
definitely adds to my stress.
it says during the latest recession, and I'm pretty sure the latest recession was, yeah, during COVID.
COVID,
So, yeah, exactly. So you know, we've been through so much, like, as a generation. It's
I
ridiculous.
literally
Pearl Harbor.
I taught during the years of COVID, like it was
Yeah,
it was like a year and a half, and I taught that whole time.
I graduated from ASU during COVID, and I was doing my student teaching.
Right. We were literally on the same timeline when it came to teaching. We kind of forget
Yeah,
about this.
yeah, that is funny.
All right. So then the next one is like, oh, so you mean the cost of everything?
Well, yeah,
It might as well just be everything. Why not just put everything?
yeah,
So
and
I don't pay for healthcare currently because I'm unemployed, so I don't have healthcare. I probably should look into it. I have like $50,000 worth of student loan debts.
yeah,
And I actually have a good housing situation, which we just talked about in our last episode.
yeah. So rising prices, whatever. Student loan debt. I have less than you, which is, I thought I had more than you, but yeah. Either way, we talked about this. It goes into the next point that you wanted to make, the housing thing. Yeah, my mortgage is good. I just have the one thing is my monthly payment sucks.
Yeah, it's just high because yeah.
But I have a lot of equity in it, and yeah, sorry. Just trying to read your notes here. Cause of yeah, so I get healthcare through my job, obviously. And I have so many different random bills that I just try to hope that my HSA account has enough to cover everything that I'm doing medically. And this is
Oh,
literally like how
easy.
I'm trying to get a diagnosis for OPCA. It's
All
not
right.
yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't sound easy.
no, I want you, because that's the thing, is like we've talked a lot about the disease, and I really like, as soon as you have access to healthcare, I would like you to try to get diagnosed, because that is literally like the hardest thing. And all I'm trying to do is get diagnosed,
Sure.
and I can't do it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. As soon as I actually was gonna get healthcare as soon as I get a job, so or I hope. So,
All right, so yeah.
anyways,
All right, let's get back to it. Millennials
yeah,
have
it's
like
stupid.
a million reasons to drink.
So the next one is stupid because it says college debt, and it's like, oh, so you're just making a bullet point from the last bullet point, so we're gonna skip that. Young people lack a sense of community or belonging and are most unlikely to be connected to a religion or political party. Dude, I was literally talking about this the other day with a group of people, and I think that, yeah, it's both men and women are feeling disenfranchised and isolated and lonely. And we have a severe, starting to sound like certain someone, but we have a severe lack of community. So,
Yeah, these are reasons to drink and whatnot, and but like I've actually in a lot of our conversations recently, just been kind of over it. Like, if you want your community to be better, make it better. Be Oh, holy crap! I literally worked an event the other day that the slogan was "Be the change."
yeah. Yeah.
That's all. I'm kind of over be like.
Well, I'm sorry. You know the full version of that quote, right?
No, because
Be
be the
the
change you want to
change.
be.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So
You're
I'm
right.
sorry, it doesn't just end there.
Yeah. But I mean, also just like be the change. Like, there are so many people who are stuck in like doing the same
Hey,
thing
man,
over and over and over.
I don't disagree, but the only and like that's my thing too is like it's maybe a lofty goal and it's probably better talked about off camera, but like I want to fall in love again, and it's like, well, falling in love 3 times in your life is kind of asking a lot.
Yeah. Yes, it most certainly is.
Right.
Considering there are people who want to fall in love and have a family for the first time.
Right. Oh shit. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So again, like, I'm gonna toot my own horn, and I'm done doing that. But like, I'm happy with the person that I am, and I'm just gonna keep doing that. And like, people can accept it or not, and like, there's a huge piece of self awareness and realizing that you're doing the right thing.
So there's a couple of things that I'm actually going to start doing, and I want to talk to you again off camera about these things that I think they're just simple, light things that I'll be able to add into my lifestyle, and they're just going to make me more stress free and happy.
They go a long way. These little things go a long way. You will find.
So, anyways, the last point, and we'll just get over this one, and then we'll end it. The average stress level for millennials is higher than in other generations, and so yeah, like it essentially becomes like, oh, stop the pity party, but at the same time, it's like, dude, we've literally been dealt the worst fucking hand of all time, and you're asking us to sit down and shut up.
Yeah, and we've had to live through so many life-changing events
Right.
that happen on literally at like a national level, and it's like, again, there are not generations that have been put through what we've been put through. And Gen Z, which is hopefully a point we can get to, will probably be the closest. Because this is what's funny is like boomers, Gen X, and then the millennials, the Xers, the boomers. Oh my God. Like, yeah. Talk about the easiest
Entitled.
ever.
It's so funny.
That is why they're called entitlement programs, because they were started during the time of people who were entitled. And I'm just saying, yeah, we are the least entitled. And calling them entitlement programs is dumb. Like, you paid, it's not entitlement.
Well, and that's what we're mislabeled as. You know that, right? Is we're mislabeled as that generation, the
The
entitled generation.
ungrateful.
Yeah. Lazy, entitled generation.
And it just doesn't even make sense. Like,
I have been working so much through my temp job that I can't pick up any more shifts due to overtime. So, yeah.
nice.
Yeah. I actually
Well,
showed that to you. Yeah.
I mean, again, silver lining, good and bad there.
Yep. I was showing it to my
I
roommate
could
and he
use
was like,
the
that's
money. Yeah.
I was showing it to my roommate and he was like, that's bullshit. You should be able to pick up whatever shifts you want. And I was like,
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So then with that being said,
Knowledge is power.